I'm criminal defense attorney Ryan Pasiga, and today I'm in Park City, Utah, here on a narcotics trafficking case, and we're going to have what's called a suppression hearing in the case. And what a suppression hearing means is that we're going to have a hearing where we put the officer on the stand, take testimony, we'll cross-examine him, and then we're going to ask the judge to throw evidence out in the case and in fact dismiss all of the charges in the case as well. And what we're going to talk about in this particular case is what's called a pretextual stop. What a pretextual stop means is that law enforcement really has an ulterior motive, and they've made up their mind that they're going to pull over a vehicle whether or not they witness a traffic violation. So they're going to follow it long enough just to wait until they see if they can find a traffic violations, and these are really minimal or what are called trivial traffic violations. So pretextual means that an officer is maybe profiling a car. It could be because they're a state patrol and they're working on a highway and they're looking for cars that have out-of-state license plates, and maybe it's on a major drug trafficking route like I-70 or I-80 or some of the other major highways where there's a lot of drug trafficking that occurs. So the officers will camp out, they know this, they're looking for usually 2 or 3 people in a car, it's usually young men, and then they're looking for these out-of-state plates. And when they see that, they're going to start following that vehicle, and again, they're looking for even the most minimal traffic violations, really small stuff that they wouldn't normally pull cars over for. So something like maybe the license plate light is dim, maybe they've got a pair of dice or something else hanging from the rear view mirror and that's not allowed in that state. Maybe they're going 1 or 2 miles an hour over the speed limit and that's it, and all the other cars are too, but they're going to pull over that car because they're kind of profiling it. In Utah, for example, they have a couple of weird traffic laws. One is that if you're going to make a lane change on the highway, you've actually got a signal put on your lane change signal on your vehicle for a full 2 seconds before you even start to move the vehicle from one lane to the other. And I have found in defending cases around the nation that that's a really odd law. Most states don't have that law. So that's one of the reasons, for example, in this particular case that the officer is using to say that he was justified in pulling over my client's vehicle. Another one is following too close. This is much more common in other states, and that's usually the 2-second rule. And that says that if you're driving a car, you cannot be within closer than 2 seconds behind another vehicle unless the traffic is very, very heavy. So if it's rush hour time, that's okay. Or if it's kind of unavoidable because the other car is all of a sudden slamming on their brakes or something, that's a violation. But other than that, you have to be a full 2 seconds behind another vehicle if you're following it. And if not, the officer might be justified in pulling your vehicle over. So these are some of the trivial violations that law enforcement might look for when conducting a traffic stop if they have a pretextual basis to do it. So a good defense lawyer will look for pretextual reasons and be able to identify when a pretextual stop is happening, and then be able to make sure we get the video to look at that and see if the video corroborates what the officer's written report says, and can also look at other bases where perhaps this traffic stop really shouldn't count under the law. And if that's the case, then we ask for what's called as an evidentiary or suppression hearing, where we have the officer come testify, we'll put the video into evidence, we'll cross-examine the officer, we can have other people testify, and we'll ask the judge to find that there was not what's called a reasonable, articulable suspicion to make a traffic stop in the case. And the way the law works is, if a stop is not good under the Constitution because it's unconstitutional, then any evidence that law enforcement finds after a traffic stop must be thrown out because it's called fruit of the poisonous tree. If you have more questions on suppression hearings or pretextual stops, my name is criminal defense attorney Ryan Pasiga. My website is arrestedminnesota.com and my number is 612-339-5844.